Namaskar. Good evening, everyone. Today I have decided to come up with one more video on practical personal finance series. I call it PPF. And actually, it is a blog that I have been writing for some time. I really enjoy writing blogs on personal finance, it is my favorite area. I especially enjoy writing articles on the behavioral finance. But today, what I will do is I will simply present my first article of the practical personal finance blog, which will lay the foundation to the financial planning of you. In case you are about to start your financial planning, then this is the right video for you. You have come at the right destination. So, without much ado, let me start the discussion. COVID-19 crisis will prove to be a litmus test. Now, this blog was written 2 years back, so you can consider it to have been written in 2021. Okay. So it says that COVID-19 crisis will prove to be a litmus test of your career, skills, and current job security and your future prospects. In one survey, 38% of Indians say that they are worried about their jobs. And according to some other article, 100 million and more jobs in India are at risk. These are initial estimates as we don't know how far the things will go from here. Things may not become as bad as expected too. None knows the future. But one thing is for sure. In these troubling times, those who had saved money and those who have the cash are the real kings. I hope you recall a story of the cricket and the ants. There used to be a beautiful garden in which a cricket used to live, and nearby there was a colony of ants in the same garden. As the beautiful summer was passing by, the cricket would enjoy the delicious food, sing, dance, and make merry. The life was just too good to believe. He would take rest in the noon and night. The ants, which were living nearby, meanwhile, would keep collecting a lot of food and storing the same in their colony. They would toil hard the whole day before good night's sleep. One day the cricket made fun of them. He inquired why the ants were storing so much food and doing a lot of unnecessary hard work. There was enough food and the ants could afford to enjoy themselves like he did. The ants didn't bother much with him, not them, them is a typo, as they had a lot of work to do. The ants really didn't bother about what cricket used to say. Time passed. The summer gave way to the rainy season. The garden got filled up with a lot of rainwater. The food supply started reducing. The cricket, meanwhile, continued to struggle to find the food, while the ants had stored enough to last through the rainy season. Ultimately, we can choose two possible endings to this story. One in which the ants supported the cricket, provided him with food, and he survived the rainy season and learned his lesson. In other, the ants turned him down and he died of hunger. Whatever end you choose, COVID 19 will force us to think how we have managed our finances, like the ants or the cricket. The fact is, all of us will fall into this spectrum, the CA spectrum. CA means cricket ant spectrum. On this spectrum, on one side is the cricket, on the other side is the ant. Some are tilted towards the ants, and some are tilted towards the cricket. Some may lie somewhere in between. The reason for sharing this story was that a lot of people are going through the financial rough patch as the income may have stopped, but the EMIs and other expenses do continue. If you, my dear reader, is tilted towards the cricket, you would not be relaxed. On the other hand, if you are tilted towards the arts, you should be fairly relaxed or not as much tensed. Let us learn in a very simple, practical, and non technical way how to start our journey towards being an ant. I love the proverb the secret of success lies in the routine. Yes, routine is the answer to this type of problem. The best way to save money is not simply to cut down the expenditures. It is about saving regularly when the summer is on. That means when you have regular income in normal times. The first and the most important thing to do is to create an emergency fund. The emergency fund is your last line of defense. You use it when you have no other means to spend money. In other words, once you run out of this fund, you will have to take a loan. How much money should you have in your emergency fund? How to create such a fund? In which products should you invest to create such a fund? The emergency fund should ideally have minimum 6 months expenditure. Once again, it should cover minimum 6 months expenditures, including the EMIs you pay, the fees of the schools of your children, etc. In short, it should cover every single monthly expenditure on board. The amount then can be decided by multiplying this by 6. For example, if your monthly outgo is 37,000 rupees, then your minimum emergency fund should be 37,000 multiplied by 6, and that is roughly 2.25 lakh rupees. The question then is that enough? In the past, 6 months emergency fund was considered to be enough. But given the current environment, the experts are now asking people to have up to 2 years. Yes, you heard it right, 24 months monthly outgo as the emergency fund. So in our example, that comes to 2.25 lakh multiplied by 4. That means almost 9 lakh rupees. That's big, but the bigger it is, the better it is. Once you know the amount, the second question is how to create such a fund. Answer is go for monthly saving products like systematic investment plan in a good liquid fund. Generally, you should select the liquid fund of a reputed fund house like SBI or HDFC, which is supported by big bank. It is because smaller fund houses liquid funds have turned negative in the past. We will do some video about it later, but generally you should stick to a fund house. For this particular purpose, select a liquid fund of a fund house which is supported by a bank, SBI, HDFC or ICICI. You should not select the liquid fund with good returns as it will lead to unnecessary credit risk. Now see, liquid fund is your emergency money. You should use the liquid fund to park your emergency fund, and it is the fund in which you don't want to take risk. This is the money where you only need the money to be preserved and not you don't want any returns. So if you do not trust the mutual fund, stick to the recurring deposits of a good bank like SBI or HDFC or ICICI. You should start this type of SIP or RD with a purpose to create an emergency fund. Remember not to withdraw money from this emergency fund for any purpose. It will dilute the idea of the emergency fund. The product you choose for an emergency fund should easily be liquidable and should not be risky. Overnight funds are also good choice. Take the help of any knowledgeable person if you cannot do it yourself. In case you have a lump sum amount, you can invest in FDs and liquid funds. Ideally, you should diversify this emergency fund into two or at least four places. FDs with two banks and liquid funds of two big fund houses. So that will also give you some diversification. Last words. Remember, this emergency fund should be invested in such products which preserve capital, and rate of return is not at all important in these products. Plus, you must not utilize the money from this fund for noble purposes like lending a needy friend. For that, you must define the idea of financial emergency prudently. Feedback is welcomed. Please write to pvaria@gmail.com if you have any queries or any feedback. Thank you very much. Good night. Namaskar.